you're always going to be like chasing your taste. Like your
Yeah.
taste is always going to be up here, and then
Yeah.
like what you can do is never going to meet that.
Yeah.
So it's all about like chasing that the
Yeah.
whole time. And
Yeah.
I heard a good quote recently. I don't know who said it or anything, but it's like a guy talking to his piano teacher, and after like a month of learning how to play piano, he's like, I don't understand because I can hear the notes so much better in my head.
Right.
And then the teacher, who was like this expert piano player, savant, is like, what makes you think that's ever going to change? And I was just
Right.
like,
Right. Right.
whoa, okay,
Yeah.
great. It's never going to change.
Yeah.
Like, always going to be chasing it. But
Yeah. 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 It's
anyway,
hard to. It's hard to put yourself in the and I find it's especially like that when even in like social interactions, right? It's like you have a version of yourself that you think is that person, but everybody else has a different
yeah,
version of you,
yeah.
and we're our biggest critic, right?
Mm-hmm,
But there are some people that like they look up to you, some people villainize you, and
mm-hmm.
it can be a lot of different things, but like we're always going to be the person that holds ourselves to a standard that's like so high that it makes us
Yeah.
always feel like we're inadequate,
I
right?
find it like, even on perspective of that stuff, it's like it fascinates me, and this sounds like such a like stoner thing to say, but I am blown away thinking about like in my family, I have two older sisters,
Okay.
but then my sisters both have a brother and a sister. And that
Right, right,
just like
right, right, right.
blows my mind about like, even though we were in the same like family unit, we grew up in like very different circumstances
That's true. Yeah.
that like I
Yeah.
can't even wrap my head around
Yeah.
because I don't have a brother. I don't know what it's like to have a little brother.
Yeah.
Like I know what it's like to have two older sisters,
Yeah.
but they don't. I
Right.
don't know. It just like that has
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like perspective and relationships is always, yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
And like how
Cool.
you see yourself in the world or in a family or in a whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't have that chance. I'm only child,
Yeah.
so I had to imagine my way through life, which
Yeah,
was
it's probably. I mean, you can consider yourself lucky for a lot of reasons. I'm
yeah,
sure there's
yeah,
pros and cons to it all.
very true. All right, let's get it rock and roll. You ready? Perfect. John, welcome
Yeah,
to the Here's How
yeah.
podcast.
Thank you for having
Two
me.
Johns on one
Yeah, it's gonna
podcast.
get confusing here.
Funnily enough, too, two Johns that have. Did you do political science in
I
at
did.
Acadia?
Yeah, I
I
did.
did political science as well.
Nice.
At University of Moncton. I
And you're a
think,
JON.
and I'm a JON.
Mm,
And you're honestly the first time I've seen another person that goes by in JON.
oh
Yours is
yeah,
JOHN, right?
crazy. So this is like kind of a wild story, and
Okay.
I don't think I've ever told it before, like publicly. But so I was born end of October 1989. I was born on Halloween.
Okay. No
But
way.
so my mom, when she was like at home preparing to have me, her third child, was watching CNN, and it was all about like the Berlin Wall coming
Okay.
down.
Okay.
And I have an uncle, Jon Mann, John,
Okay.
and I was going to be named John because my mom said that she always liked how my grandmother called him Johnny, like
Okay.
Johnny
Okay.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, so then my mom's home and she's watching TV all day waiting to have a baby, and she keeps hearing this anchor on CNN being like, live from Berlin, it's Jonathan Mann.
Okay.
And my mom was like, oh, like I like that.
Yeah.
And he was Jon, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So then I became Jonathan. I went by John my whole life.
Yeah.
Unless my mom's mad at me, she'll call me Jonathan, like
Same
that
here.
classic thing.
Same here.
So skip ahead to like years later, like 2013, I was making a documentary, and I had a PR consultant in Vancouver, and I like lost contact with her for a few weeks. I
Okay.
didn't really understand what was going on. And she was like, John, I'm so sorry. I have been texting my uncle. My uncle's name is Jon Mann, and you guys are right next to each other in the phone. And I was like, oh, well, it's fine, but also it's crazy. You never told me that your uncle's name is Jon
Yeah.
Mann. And she was like, yeah, he's really hard to get a hold of because he is retired and lives in Europe. And like he made a ton of money because he was this like big CNN anchor a long time ago.
What?
And I was like, did your uncle like report on the Berlin Wall? And she was like, probably. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm named after your uncle. Like
That's
I
so
swear. And then
crazy.
I told her the story that I
Yeah.
just told you. And then there's like silence on the phone, and we were both like, she was like, I'm gonna go call my uncle, and I was like, I'm gonna go call my mom. And then we were like confirmed it that it was
No
him,
way.
and then like connected him and my mom
What
to
a
be
full
able.
circle
Isn't that
moment.
insane?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
Small
couldn't
world.
write that.
I
Like no
know.
one would believe it, but
Crazy.
that's like the biggest coincidence. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. Obviously, for us, we always strongly think of ways that we can intertwine industries, and you being in the filmmaking industry, I think has a lot of resonance in what we talk about on the podcast. I'm sure that there might be a select few viewers that might be the aspiring filmmaker of the future, or even want to get into cinematography or photography, or even just content creation, which I think is somewhere where we can have a conversation about. But what was really striking to me is you obviously gave me a lot of information to kind of do my homework, which was really fun too, because I watched Popsy,
mm,
which I didn't know. I went in it blindly, right? And I was like, okay, what am I watching here? And then it ended, and I was like, that was so fucking cool.
oh, thank you.
That was
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And from there on, it was like the IMDb and going through like your what you've created. There's You Can Call Me Roger, which is one of your more recent in on the documentary
Hmm.
side, which I think is really cool. But there's this really cool story about Popsy too, that you're the only Canadian filmmaker out of, I think there were six that were
Yep.
presented at the Academy Museum of
Yep.
Motion Pictures,
Yeah.
which is really prestigious.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. Like, um, so Stephen King used to have this program
Yeah.
called the Dollar Baby Program, and it ran from 77 to 2024, like 47 years.
Okay.
And it recently ended
Okay.
last December 2024, so I guess just over a year ago. And in those 47 years, like the most famous Dollar Baby is Frank Darabont, who then went
Okay.
on to direct. He did The Mist, he did Shawshank, he did The Green Mile. I believe he created The Walking Dead. Like Darabont is a legend,
Okay.
and so it like produced a lot of like really great filmmakers in 47 years.
Yeah.
And the program itself, like it never promoted itself at all, so it always seemed like an urban legend to
Right.
filmmakers. And like growing up in New Brunswick, I grew up as a huge Stephen King fan,
Yeah.
and then I was accepted into the program in 2018, and then made Popsy for $1 as a short film. And then yeah, just this past November, because now it's like a legacy piece, the
Hmm.
Academy decided to celebrate the 47-year history and has selected a 90 minutes worth of screening,
Yeah.
and that ended up being 6 films, and Popsy was one of them.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, wild.
So when and I went into it, well, like I said, with no expectation, no backstory to it. Is is it just a recreation of the story itself, or is this an original story?
It's so the short story is about 15 pages long.
Okay.
It's from Nightmares and Dreamscapes, which is a collection from 1993,
Okay.
and it features in this short story, you know the motivation of why the man is trying to abduct a child,
Okay.
and it's to cancel a gambling debt.
Right. Right.
But I just thought that that wouldn't necessarily translate as well to like an 11-minute short film. And it works really well in the short story, but I
Yeah.
thought it would be a little bit more piercing to a not know that this
Right.
why this guy's doing it. And I don't think that we needed to feel empathy for
No, not at
someone
all.
doing that.
Yeah.
And also we were able to keep it in that sense. We kept it to the mall and the van,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was basically our 2 locations. And um, just to be able to keep it as like dense and meaty as possible, and that was the reason
And,
behind that.
and it was cool because even though it's only 11 minutes, there's a lot said within what's unsaid, I
Hmm.
find. Like when you're when you start and there's this like changing of the plates, and then that's like kind of like dragged on where it's like, oh, okay, something's about to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and then it turns back into the light, and then it's like into another character, but it's all these like other characters that
Yeah.
kind of tie in into it. um I found like, especially even with the pacing of all of that, like it just builds up kind of that tension
Mm-hmm.
that is really important to it. And when the kid comes in, and at that moment where you're like, oh, okay, like the abduction, or he's gonna take him away and all that, like that whole build up there is so important
Mm-hmm.
to the end of the story, which I
Yeah.
obviously don't want to spoil this for everyone that's about to go watch it. But kind of walk me through your process of kind of putting all those things together.
Yeah, it is. It's like you're reminding me of things I haven't thought about in a while. Like, there's only one conversation that whole
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
them outside of the mall, and everything else is just kind of like a guy named Greg Harrison made the score, which I thought
yeah. Okay.
was incredible. And I've known Greg for a long, long, long time. He's also from Fredericton, and then we crossed paths at Acadia again, and he's gone on to be like this super talented musician in Toronto, and he's like always my first call if I need a score. And I think that like very much helped, and like going with that old nostalgic, like, just first of all, the ratio of
Yeah,
like that square
yeah.
is, those are the movies that I remember watching on like this little 12-inch screen that I had in my bedroom as a kid with the VHS built into it. And then that like crunchy, synthy, nostalgic horror score that Greg was able to come up with, it just like filled in a lot of the space.
Yeah, yeah.
um and of course, like, I was trying so hard. Like, I've told other dollar babies since that, like, if you're going to do it, like, for the love of God, like, take it seriously, because
Hmm,
like
hmm.
this is Stephen King.
Fair.
He's like basically a genre onto himself,
Yeah,
like reimagined horror for generations of people.
yeah.
And deserves the respect
Hundred
that it
percent.
has.
Yeah,
So that I really handled it with like kid gloves
yeah,
basically the
yeah,
whole time, just to be like super nervous. This has to go well. This has to go perfect, because
yeah.
I felt like the stakes were kind of high to be part of this program. And also, on that note, it's like watching and reading his interviews about like what he likes about
Hmm.
his movies and what he doesn't like about his movies. And I've read enough of his books, like the humor that is in his books and what he like gets a kick out of is that like campy horror
Yeah, yeah,
style
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
um there's one scene in the van where Rob Ramsey, the lead actor, and Avery, the kid, are in a fight, and even like the sound effect of Avery punching Rob is very like old early 90s sound
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
design, which I loved,
Hmm.
because like that's the stuff that, like, when you're watching, like, I watched this past Halloween, I watched the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and
Okay.
it's like
Yeah,
almost comical,
yeah,
like how like rudimentary it all is. And I love that, because
yeah,
that's like those are the movies that I grew up on. And then of course, like, horror had this whole resurgence in like after the slashers of the 80s, and then movies like Scream in
yeah,
1996 kind of changed everything. And then you
yeah,
got the like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and
yeah,
a movie called Urban Legend, and like those like teens at university, teens in high school again, but not necessarily like these 80s slasher movies that were
yeah.
just gore for the fun of it. But um yeah, so like the process of making Popsy was basically like, just don't fuck it up. That's how I felt the whole time. And
I think you nailed it.
yeah, thank you. And
Yeah,
it was like a lot of rewrites and
yeah.
writing, and finding Avery was an absolute blessing, because I had worked with him on a short film that he did. We shot that in November, I think,
Okay.
or October, sometime in the fall. And I had worked with him the summer before on another short film, and he was discovered by my friend Garrett. Garrett was auditioning kids for this short film, and they went to, I think Garrett discovered him at a karate class. Like, they
Okay.
just needed like this little, like, for that role, like a kid who was just like kind of a little ankle biter to
Yeah.
these two older kids,
Yeah.
and really enjoyed working with Avery on that, and met his parents, and they were great, and he was so talented that I was like, hey, I have this other thing like
Yeah.
that I think he'd be
He
great
he
for.
fit really well because he's got kind of like that awkward energy and this shyness, but then as you see the character kind of progress, there's this kind of like quiet confidence that obviously
Yeah,
at the end you kind of
yeah, he does have like a really good uh like in the beginning, and I like credit our makeup artist for that as well. It's like he does look like a stiff breeze when you
yeah,
knock him over,
yeah,
but then you get him in the van and you cover his face with blood, and he gets to be a little bit more menacing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was fun too. In the van, we were trying to like hype him up to be like scary. So what we were like, Avery, like tell Rob off, like tell
Yeah,
say
yeah,
whatever you want. Your parents aren't here. Like you're the boss now.
yeah.
Like tell Rob off to his face. So we did that for like 10 minutes, and it was super fun. And then yeah, it was such a like it was a great shoot because we shot it in Fredericton in my old neighborhood that I grew
Right.
up in. And so like one night my parents had the cast and crew over, like 20 of us, and like my mom made chili, and like everybody was at my parents'
Nice.
place, and just like it was just like a
Vibing
nice
and
like laid back cool thing that had a great crew for, because we wanted to make sure that we did it right. And Jack Leahy, the DP, that was his first ever job.
okay.
Like I had seen, obviously had seen Jack's work before, but he was just like, he was super young, and his stuff was so good. He was just making like little documentaries around Halifax, and he reached out after he had seen another short of mine called Missy, and he's like, those are the kind of shorts that I want to make, blah blah
Right.
blah. And then he showed me his stuff, and I was like, this Jack doesn't know how good he is yet, which is great,
Yeah.
because like I'll hire him. And yeah, that was Jack's first credit, which is
No way.
crazy looking back on. And a guy named Tim Mumbercat, who I've worked with 100 times since then, he was the first AD, or first assistant camera.
Yeah.
um Bruce LeGros was our sound guy. I've worked with Bruce a ton since then. Like
Okay.
it did make this like cool little, it was just such an opportunity for all of us to just have Stephen King's name attached to
Yeah.
something that I
What an
think we all
honor, eh?
knew, which you never know about short films. Like we knew people would see it
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if people are going to see this, then let's make it
Like a
as
banger.
great as we can.
Yeah.
So
Nailed it. I can't wait for people to watch it.
yeah,
So
it was yeah, and that's the thing now, is we don't know now that the program's over. I'm in like a group with all the a ton of dollar babies on Facebook, and
yeah.
now we're all like, so what's up with our contracts? Like we don't
Okay.
know who can see it. Can it go public now?
Okay. Okay.
Because
Okay.
basically before it was like we could only show it at film festivals, or like Stephen King things that he would sanction.
Right. All right.
So now we don't know.
Okay.
But it is cool because now that it is like a legacy, you're starting to see, like, there's now a Stephen King convention. It was
Okay.
in Vegas last year, and this year it's in Atlantic City, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they do like a screening of Dollar Babies.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there's
Okay. Yeah.
Stephen King Rules Film Festival in BC, where they show like 30. It's like film festivals that are specific to Stephen King now.
Okay.
And especially like these shorts, like I said, like they never promoted the program,
Okay.
but
Okay.
now
Okay.
that it's like it's gotten this new level of like urban legend and people wanting to talk about how cool
Yeah.
this thing is, it's like people are starting to write books about it.
Okay.
And
Wow.
now these festivals are popping off. And obviously the Academy, that was a huge like marketing in itself,
Yeah.
for people to be like, didn't even know this program existed. And
Right.
now that the Academy is like welcomed us in, it's just like an incredible opportunity for the program. And it's sad that it's over,
Right.
for sure, but makes it all that more special to be a part of when it was happening.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where like can you pinpoint back at what point that you decided like storytelling and not just filmmaking was going to be like what you were going to pursue?
Um, yeah, I think that like I grew up in a family where like always had like renting movies. My
Yeah.
mom reads 100 books a year.
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, Jumbo Video, like
The kids will never know.
my first job interview was at Jumbo Video,
No way.
and I on the north side in Fredericton. I didn't get it,
Oh shit.
but
That manager, if he's watching right now, like,
yeah, I know. I was like 14. I would have been a terrible employee, but yeah, they always really, especially my mom. She still says she's like, "I'll buy you anything as long as it's a book." Like she will. She's always pushing books on me. Always wants to talk about what shows she's watching, what movies. I called my dad today. The first thing he told me is that they saw Hamnet this afternoon.
Okay.
Like, wanted to talk about that. And really supportive in that way. And then I was like a theater kid growing up, but
Okay.
I couldn't sing and I couldn't dance. So yeah, like I couldn't do musical theater, which is
Right.
like what the Fredericton scene was basically.
Okay.
So like I was always around it, and I was always writing for fun as a kid, and I always really enjoyed like writing essays and like feeling like I had something to say. And meanwhile, watching a movie a day for the first 23 years of my life or whatever it was up to that point. And then my mom kind of kicked me in the ass once. I was at Acadia and I was like, I'm dropping out. I hate it. This sucks. Like, I'm tired of Wolf. It was like my 4th year.
Okay.
Wolfville gets pretty
So
small
close.
after that long.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, what an idiot. I was like 3 months away from graduating. I was
Yeah.
like, tearing this place down. I'm out of here. And my mom was like, well, what do you like? Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I love movies. And she was like, that's great. So do I. Like, do something about it.
Right.
Like, liking them wasn't enough. So after that, I got pretty serious about like applying to film schools, and I wrote a short story with my application. 'Cause I didn't know how to write a script at that point. I was still at
Okay.
Acadia, didn't know how to format a script, and so I wrote a like short, probably like a 50-page short story, sent it to them, sent it to like every film school I could think of, and then went to the New York Film Academy, only because like the price of an exchange student at the Film Academy was so much better than
Okay.
like film schools in general are so expensive.
Really.
A lot of them are cash grabs. Not to get like super into it, but
Yeah.
learned a ton while I was there. And then it was kind of from then on, it's like I graduated with screenwriting and then started making short docs because that's like the easiest way into making a movie. Like that was me and a camera and a microphone. Like you
Right.
could do that for a documentary. And then that short story while I was at the Film Academy, I turned that into like my thesis script. So then
Okay,
I
okay,
had a 90-page script when I left school, sent it to friends of mine who were in the industry. One of them is Rob Ramsey.
Yeah.
Rob and I were at Acadia together. And then Rob is in Popsy. He's
Okay.
the man
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Popsy.
yeah.
And Rob had this like really great acting career at this point. So I sent it to him and I was like, is this any good? Like, I don't know. And then he at the time was living with Alan Richardson. So Alan and Rob read it and they were both like, this is great.
Nice.
Like, keep doing it, whatever
Yeah,
you're doing.
yeah.
And then shortly after that, Rob was like, I kind of want to get into writing. Do you want to write some stuff together?
Yeah.
And so this was like 2014, 2015. And then I fully dove in 2016. Like I
Okay.
started working for myself in 2016. So it's
Okay.
going on 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like a gradual, I don't know what like if the decision was ever really made.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
remember one time Rob and I won a big screenwriting competition and we were on the front page of the Chronicle Herald in Halifax.
Okay. Nice.
And I remember, and it was called Wolfville, and it was very like True Detective, small
Okay.
East Coast
Yeah. Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
instead of a Western, we were trying to say it was like an Eastern, like making
Okay,
it like this
I like that.
cool thing. And so we won, and then we were on the front page of the Chronicle Herald. And that day I remember thinking like, whether I want to or not, like my face is out there now as a
Yeah.
screenwriter.
I
Like
gotta go all
if
in.
I don't do it now, I'll be a failure. A
Yeah.
lot of like so ever since I've just been like, okay, let's
There you go.
let's do it.
Now, obviously, like horror has a special place in your heart, right?
Mm.
Do you kind of remember when you were really first exposed to it, and um, was it a movie? Was it a story? Was it?
Yeah, I remember like going to the family cottage as a kid, and the
Okay.
last stop was Blockbuster before going up
Yeah.
there because like if it rained, that
What
was
would you
my
do, right?
parents' answer to like what are we gonna do with the kids all day.
Yeah.
And because I have older sisters, I was able to see movies that
Yeah.
I shouldn't have seen at a much younger
Nice.
age.
Yeah.
And like I didn't strictly watch horror,
Yeah.
but like did all the Disney early 90s movies, whatever. But I saw Jurassic Park the summer it came out, and I would
That's an
have been
iconic
3.
movie. Yeah.
My mom took me to see Jurassic Park, and I can remember without realizing it at the time, but just like horror made me feel something
Yeah.
that other movies didn't.
Right.
And like my one of my favorite movies of all time is The Sandlot,
Okay.
and I remember like being a kid watching that and being like, this is great and I love it and it's hilarious, and like these kids remind me a lot of me and my friends and
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But then watching a movie like or reading a book like it, where
Yeah.
it's like this makes me feel probably like I'm watching something that I'm not supposed to be,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
think is
Yeah.
like the baby of the family guilt that I
Okay.
feel all the time. Like I'm always doing something that I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And I always like that gave me a huge high. And so my sisters introduced me to Scream the summer it came out, which was 96. I would
Yeah.
have been 6 years old. And I just remember watching it and being like, these people on the screen are so cool,
Yeah.
and they like reminded me of my sisters and their friends.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like how do I impress those cool kids? And then again, like I said, that's when horror kind of went through this whole reverb from
Yeah.
where it was in the 80s with the like Freddy Kruegers
Yeah.
and the
Michael Myers.
exactly
Yeah.
and Jason Voorhees
Yeah.
and whatever into this cool like who done it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. 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 That mystery.
Yeah, and like then the
character.
stories became like compelling and
Hmm.
so yeah, it was those like early horrors, and now it's so exciting to see like Sinners is the most nominated movie
Yeah.
of all
Yeah.
time, and that movie is incredible, and like horror is just having its moment now. Even the Dollar Baby program being invited to the Academy, like
Yeah.
what a huge
Which are all horror
yeah,
style, right? Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
like it was a massive, just like a massive win from seeing where it came from and like the movies that I got hooked on as a kid. And I remember too, like even before Scream, those early days of going up to the cottage, my mom showed me the original Omen from the
Okay.
70s
Yeah.
and like Black Christmas and like all these really old, The Shining, like all
Yeah.
these
The Shining's.
old 70s scary, great like in camera effects,
Yeah.
creepy old 70s horror, and like that stuck with me. That
Yeah.
terrified me. Like the Omen scared the shit out of me. Like she showed me Carrie when I was really young, and it was just like my mom being like, I love this movie as a,
Yeah.
like a kid,
You gotta watch
and she
this.
probably meant like as a teenager,
Yeah.
but maybe I don't know, maybe like my movie taste was ahead, she thought it was ahead of its time as a 6-year-old 7-year-old, but thank her for it.
Yeah. 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 Now, obviously, like I think horror is a particular genre on its own, especially where people can be really torn in it. Like you'll
Hmm.
get people that just don't want to watch it because it's either too gory or obviously too scary, or like the jump scares are
Hmm.
annoying and things like that. But then there's on the other side where I think people are really die hard with it. I almost see it as like the Jeep of the movie
Okay.
industry. It's like, so what I mean by that is like when you look at that, I think that while we can all agree that horror movies has those elements like gore and
Hmm.
the jump scares and all of that, a lot of the really good ones have an element where it like kind of like is a metaphor to like real life, and it has
Oh
these
yeah.
like it kind of it draws some things that like one that really pops out to me when I think about this is like The Village.
Hmm.
Like The Village was like this really cool story about like, if people really believe something for so long, then they'll think that that's their
Right.
reality, right?
Yeah.
And I look at like something like right now when, try not to talk about politics too much on here, but
Hmm.
like you think about like everything that's going on with like Donald Trump, it's like there's a lot of people that believe every single thing that he says on TV, and that's the reality that they live
Right.
in. And I think horror movies do a really good job at like
It's a mirror. Yeah.
exactly, right?
Yeah. It's like it is. It's very zeitgeisty, and like you can see like those movies of the horrors of the 70s 80s were all very like, don't have sex before marriage. If you
Yeah.
go out in the woods in a car to park, a guy with a machete is going to come kill you.
Right.
And then like, I don't know if it was like a transition from like teenagehood in the 70s 80s versus the 90s. um like you can get into like, this is almost like essay writing time about like horror movies and like teenagers in different pockets. But another M. Night Shyamalan movie that's a good example of that is like The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
The Sixth Sense is an incredible movie about a family like trying to figure it out. Like
Hmm.
this woman can't connect with her son, and she's an only mother, and like, or only parent, trying to like raise this son who clearly has like, is it mental issues, is it just crazy social anxiety,
Hmm.
what is it? And then it's like, once you strip away all of that, it is like a movie about a relationship between a mother and a son.
Right.
And then a movie like Sinners,
Yeah.
like a 2025 example, is that movie is so great because the horror, like the vampires, don't show up until an hour into the movie.
Okay.
And everything up until then is just like, I love this guy. This story of these twins from Chicago is so compelling
Yeah.
that if the horror didn't arrive, you would still just watch a movie about those
Okay.
twins.
Okay. I've yet to watch it, so I'm gonna have
Oh,
to.
it's great.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting too, and something that I learned young, or like as a young screenwriter, is the characters in your movie don't know what genre movie they're in.
Right. Right.
So I think that that's what Sinners did so well, is that it's these two guys, Prohibition era Chicago, and the horror comes in and derails their life,
Okay.
as
Okay.
opposed to,
Being a part of it from the
yeah,
start,
like
right?
it's not like we didn't see the monster in the beginning, and we all knew it was coming because
Yeah.
we know what kind of a movie Sinners was.
Yeah.
It's impossible to ignore like the hype around movies like that.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was fascinating. That was just a movie about two twins, and then this happens to happen to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like, I don't know, it's like not like they're walking around looking over their shoulder the whole
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
until this crazy thing does happen. Anyway, I just thought that was fascinating. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's elevated. It was elevated horror, and like I love the movie Weapons that came out this year.
What did I? Oh yes.
About the
Okay. I
kids
haven't
who
watched
all
it, but yeah, that
disappear.
one looked like
Yeah, which is
crazy.
so clearly a metaphor about gun violence in schools in America. Like,
Right.
you lost a generation of children. Like, this small town lost a generation of children. No one wants to talk about it. Like, this massive
Just like school
problem. Like,
shootings.
exactly. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I like, it's an exciting time for horror
Yeah.
right now.
I wonder. I'm curious to know what you think about things that I think for a little period of time, like they got inspired by like Saw,
Yep.
and then it got like even more recently like something like Terrifier.
Hmm.
Like, where do you see the place of something like gore and like extreme violence like
Yeah,
that in
there
horror?
there is like, there are certainly there's obviously like subgenres of
Yeah.
horror, and one of them is that like gore porn where it's just like you go there to see somebody explode because they have a thing on their. I thought Saw was genius,
The
like
first one was amazing.
so good,
Yeah.
like kind of changed the game
Yeah.
in like early 2000s. It's like right when digital started to become a
Yeah.
big thing too. So
Yeah.
like you could make a movie for so cheap. Like
Hmm.
it kind of,
And that was made for like $1 million, I
oh,
think. Yeah,
probably, yeah.
yeah,
And like just a really cool, creepy, smart
yeah.
way to like start a whole new franchise. But um, there's like Terrifier just like doesn't do it for me. And like I remember there was a movie like Hostel.
Oh,
That's
that one
like
was
that was
bad too.
crazy.
Yeah.
And they all have their place. Like I know a ton of people that is like what they're going for in a horror. It's like, well, yeah, if we're gonna watch a horror, that's like what I expect out of it,
Yeah.
which is cool too. And like I watched one from the '70s, and it was called, oh man, it was a mockumentary about people going to try and like integrate into a cannibalistic tribe. Cannibal Holocaust is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
And I thought it was genius because like before mockumentaries like didn't exist
Hmm.
when this movie was made, and they put the director on trial because they thought that these
It
things
was that it
happened.
was
And in
real,
his
right?
defense, he had to bring in the actors to be
Yeah.
like, "No, I'm still alive. Like that was just a movie." Um,
I
and
remember
that
hearing
movie,
about
that
that.
one's hard. Like I don't find that I get shocked by movies often, and
Yeah.
that was one that I was like, "Holy God! Like what is happening right now?"
That's one that I read up a lot that's like up there in the ones where people are like, if there's one movie that you would want to like unwatch,
Yeah.
that one shows up quite a bit.
And another like body horror is like a cool subgenre, and like I loved the movie The Substance. Like that
Okay.
movie's
Yeah, that was
incredible.
good. Yeah.
And talk about like elevated horror and like beauty standards and like
Yeah.
everything that like we again zeitgeist, like what we've done as a culture
Yeah.
with like content
Yeah.
versus this versus that. um in that movie, like I thought I was gonna pass out
Yeah.
watching that movie. Like it's so funny.
It
Like
gets so outrageous.
yeah,
Like,
I love going like Saturday mornings. The theater near my apartment does like 10:30 a.m. screenings
yeah.
on Saturdays. So I went to see The Substance at like 11 a.m. on a Saturday morning and without eating breakfast. And by the end of it, I was like, I actually think I'm gonna puke. Like this is so, and like I was loving it though. Like
Yeah.
couldn't take my eyes off of it. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just comes down to story where it's
Yeah.
like you can watch Terrifier or you can watch The Substance, and it's that same body horror. You
Yet
know?
done very differently. I think
Yeah.
that the substance, the absurdity of how everything transpires is also like kind of this mockery of what we're doing in
Totally.
culture,
Yeah.
right? With the Botox and the
Mm.
perfect image and all of that. And I think it's really captured in a way where people are going to be shocked, but also it's like a great way of thinking like, are we doing too much?
Yeah.
Or are the standards getting way too high? And what are we sacrificing
Yeah.
it for?
That's that. It's so true. It should like any story, any good story should make you like ask questions
Yeah,
after and think like, okay, but if you took away the absurdity,
yeah,
it is what is happening. Like people are
100%.
going crazy
Yeah,
trying to be young, be skinny,
yeah,
be whatever. It's way worse for women.
yeah,
Like I can't sit here and pretend like I know what women go through versus what I go through, but
fair.
it is yeah, you take away that absurdity and it leaves you thinking like, well, but maybe like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that is what it is. Like I love that movie.
Yeah,
It's
no, it was
awesome.
good. Now, doing things in Atlantic Canada, I think a lot of people, and I tell this story many times in the podcast when I kind of circle around this subject, is I remember in high school, and maybe your experience was kind of the same, is that people in high school couldn't wait to finish high school to leave
Mm-hmm.
wherever they are. And I think like, if you think this place sucks so much, at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people saw Atlantic Canada or maybe Moncton or it could have been Fredericton as like a place where nothing could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question to you is like, obviously you've made a career in this. You're going on 10 years of being in the industry and have gotten success in it. it. When you strip away like what people think when it comes to like maybe filmmaking or in this industry specifically, when you take away like Hollywood or like massive budgets, which is what I think a lot of people think of that they need when they do
Hmm.
filmmaking. What would you say is like the blueprint to get it started in an area like this?
Um, it feels like an industry where there is no like straight path or right or wrong way to do it. It just
Hmm.
kind of like is the way that you do it. Like I remember I was making like early in my career, I was making micro docs on athletes who were going to Rio for the Olympics. So this would have
Okay.
been like 2015.
Okay.
And I went down to Phoenix to their training center. And there's this coach down there, and his name is Dan. I think it's Paff. I don't want to get it wrong. But he coached like you might want to cut this out. Who was the in '96 the Canadian that broke the record for the 100 meter?
Donovan Bailey.
Yeah, like he
Yeah.
was Donovan Bailey's
Okay.
coach.
Yeah.
He's responsible for like 113 medals at the Olympics or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
And he's this really cool older gentleman. And he told a story once about, or the way that he kind of talked about it was Usain Bolt is infamous for having a terrible diet. He
Hmm.
shows up 6 hours late for practice. He
Yeah.
doesn't stretch,
Yeah.
and then he goes out and breaks every world record of the 100 meter.
And he has multiple sclerosis.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like when he shows up, when he won his first gold and broke the record
Hmm.
the first time on being late for training or whatever, however he did his thing, and like not sleeping well, and you know like however the last guy did it, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you say that you're training the right way if
Hmm.
you haven't seen the result yet?
Hmm.
I guess is what he was getting at. And then he was like, yeah, and then next year someone's going to come in who is sleeps in a hyperbolic chamber, doesn't lift weights, and then that will become the way that everybody starts training. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like it's like the irony of like chicken and the egg of, well, the way you win a 100 meter or the way you win a gold medal is the way you win a gold medal. And it's
Right.
like you
Right.
can't
Right.
write that, you can't decide it.
Yeah.
All that to say, um I mean, I went to film school. I know a
Yeah.
ton of people who didn't.
Yeah.
And like just getting started, I think what it came down to was like having a deep love and appreciation for movies and
Hmm.
stories in general, and then getting that feeling of like, well, I think I might have something to say too,
Hmm.
and then being provided with a family who was just like so supportive
Yeah.
of it. Like I kind of hit the jackpot as far as like what you need, what becomes really helpful for getting started.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, like I said, like I know a ton of people who didn't go to school,
Yeah.
didn't have a supportive family, didn't have a family at all. Like it doesn't truly matter how you get started as long as it's like one foot in front of the other. It
Yeah.
does not happen overnight, that's for sure. And like we were talking earlier, like your first film's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Or your
um,
first podcast.
yeah, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like
Yeah.
your first painting, your
Yeah.
first song you try and learn, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just about like trying to get better every single day. I still try and be like a student of
That's very
movies.
important.
Like I'm always trying to, like, okay, Sinners was nominated for 16 Academy Awards. Why? Like I want to
Right.
know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and not so much from like a marketing perspective of like, oh, I need to go make the next Sinners or write the next Sinners. It's like, well, like, why did people love that movie?
Yeah.
Why did the Academy love that movie? What makes that movie so successful?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and like there's so many books about filmmaking, so many great YouTube channels like video essay
Hmm.
breakdowns about movies. Like it's very easy to be a student
Hmm.
of this craft and of this industry. And I think too it's just that like I love movies so much that everything I do is just I'm just trying to leave like have a positive impact on the industry
Hmm.
in any way that I can. And um I'm not a movie snob at all. Like if anybody just like I can turn into one really quickly if you ask me to, but if someone told me that they loved a movie that I didn't necessarily like
Hmm.
or could tear apart technically,
Yeah.
I'm just so happy that they watched and loved a movie. Like
True.
that is
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
because it truly like movies and stories and Stephen King like that like made my career and like I feel like
Yeah.
I owe so much to it and especially we were talking about Popsy like taking it so seriously
Yeah.
is important and I learned early on that when I said that I was going to be like try writing it's like people will take you as seriously as you take it.
Yeah.
So I learned early on that it's like, okay, from whatever 6 to 7 p.m., don't talk to me because I'm writing,
Right.
period.
Right.
And I do that every day. And that was before making anything. And then it's like, holy shit, John actually made something. And then I
Right.
was like, oh my God, I got into festivals. And
Yeah.
like, oh my God, John's doing it again. Like he's making another one. He's making a feature. Like those like incremental things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Now, what and because I'm picking off of here that obviously there's all there's many roads that lead to Rome, like you can do
mhm.
it in many other ways. And I was just thinking that also it wasn't multiple sclerosis, it was scoliosis.
Oh,
So
wow.
his
It's
back
bad.
was all
Yeah.
is really fucked up. So you
Wow.
had to get like cracked and stretch and
Crazy.
everything, which I think is a big reason why he kind of, although his, I don't know if it would be considered a short career, but it was a big reason why he didn't train so much
Okay.
as well because of all the effort he had to put just to be
Sure.
like ready.
Crazy.
Um, but kudos to him to do
No
that
kidding.
much and
Yeah.
have a shitty diet and all of that. But what I was gonna say with that is, obviously there's many ways to kind of skin a cat and
Mhm.
and get to where you want to be, and obviously, I share the same sentiment as you with always trying to be a student at what you do, like with the marketing that we do and everything. It's like if I were to sit here and say, oh, now that we've done 40 podcast episodes, that I'm never going to watch another podcast,
Mhm.
or oh, we know how to do it now and all
Yeah.
that, I'd be an idiot sitting
Mhm.
here, right? I think it's important to continue to like look at it from that student's brain and trying to pick off things that you could do better or things
Yeah.
that make that successful in their own respect, right? And
Mhm.
that's what makes you better,
Yeah, and
right?
I think knowing when to ask for help too. Like
Yeah.
I learned early on that I should not operate a camera. Like I'm not good at it. I'm not technical. I know nothing about
Okay.
lighting. Like I can tell you when I like an image,
Right.
but I can't I can tell a crew like I can verbalize what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
but as far as like setting up a light and they give me options for like, yeah, we could use this, we could do that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're saying. Like, can we just please like try and like, I trust you. That's
Tell
why I
it to me
hired
like I'm a
you.
5-year-old.
Yeah, literally. And it's like, well, that's why I hired you because
Right.
I don't know that stuff
Yeah.
whatsoever. And honestly, like the day I decided not to be a camera person, my stuff got so much better. And it was like
Okay.
very humbling,
Yeah.
but also if you look at it in like a way of like, well, this person's going to make me look good,
Yeah.
like that's a huge win-win.
Right.
And it also like that became slowly because I started out being my own camera operator because I couldn't afford to hire someone.
Right.
And then
Right.
when projects started to get bigger and bigger,
Then you find those persons that are
yeah,
experts at that, right?
exactly. And
Yeah.
like knowing who to ask, when to ask, like huge part of the industry that I'm into is like being personable and being easy to work with and
Yeah.
like bringing a good vibe to set every day because like it's not necessarily that like the stakes are very high, like it's entertainment, like
Mm-hmm.
it's okay
Mm-hmm.
and you don't need to be an asshole, but also it's like making a movie is really hard,
Right.
and why wouldn't you want to go to work with people that you want to be
Yeah. You don't want to go
at
in
work with and like
suffering through that whole
yeah,
day,
or
right?
like people who are interesting to have lunch with at lunch or like
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
to grab a beer with after work um like I know a lot of people who can operate sound and I know a lot of like camera operators, but I keep going back to the same people because they're like cool and you don't need to micromanage them,
Yeah.
and you trust them,
Yeah.
and yeah.
So I guess where I was trying to go with that is I wanted to know what you thought were the important skills when you start off, and I feel from what you're saying is the relationship building is really important.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like a huge amount of this is like cold emails, like reaching out to people.
Okay.
Um, I think that when even like for example, when Jack Leahy, the DP on Popsy, reached out, he was like, "What do I do to get into the industry?" And
Hmm.
it's like, "Well, you're already doing it. Like you're doing the right things. You're
Right.
reaching out to people. Like you're networking.
Yeah.
You're meeting people. Um, you go to the events. You play that game, which is like a huge part of it, and
Yeah.
shaking hands and meeting new people,
Yeah.
and which is great. It is all like relationship
Yeah.
building, and then again, it's like there's you can hire anyone to be a PA,
Hmm.
and you every set needs a PA, so maybe that'll be your in. Like you want to be a camera guy,
Right.
of course, but like if you want to get on sets, just be like
Start somewheres and then go
cool
from
at a
there.
party, and then someone will hire you to be a PA. Like
Yeah.
why wouldn't they? You
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, we've talked about obviously some of the horror side, but there's obviously this really cool documentary they've created, which is You Could Call Me Roger, and going from building a story that is fictional, or it's something that you build from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
to a real life story that has in its own respect, because that subject that was there obviously with the injustices and the trauma that people have lived, that's their own kind of real life horror story, right,
Yeah,
in
like
a sense.
you can call me Roger is like pretty horrific.
Yeah.
Um and again, it came down to like Roger's story is so incredible and deserved to be heard and told by him.
Hmm.
Um, and that started out as like a much smaller project, but
Hmm.
it was during filming of that the remains were discovered in BC,
Okay, okay, okay.
and then all of a sudden, some people that we reached out to, who were like, "Oh, we wish Roger the best. Like, good luck with the project, but maybe not now." Um, reached back out after because
Once
they
that
were
happened.
pissed off.
Right.
They had something to say about it, and so it became this really cool, like big project. Like lawyers, former prime ministers, like national chiefs. It was an incredible cast, and it was all told through the lens of Roger, of like how 400 years of Canadian history affected Roger's life,
Right.
and then what Roger has done in his life, how it will affect the next 400 years of Canada. And that alone was like, what a movie. Like, I'm hooked. I'm in.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
that sounds so good. And then again, that one became in the way that like Popsy take it seriously because it's Stephen King.
Hmm.
This one was like, this is Roger's life and work. Like, do not mess
Don't
this
fuck
up.
this up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like, it's so interesting. Like, I kind of had like there was one trip that we were on, and it was for 2 weeks in August, and it was, I think it was like Miramichi, Eel Ground, Fredericton, back to Miramichi and Eel Ground, and it was like 2 weeks on the road. It was like 38 degrees, like it was hot, like dog days of summer. And we did an interview with Roger's sister Mary, and she has a scene in the movie where she's talking about like Indian day school and her experiences, and she gets really emotional. And it was like day 9 of 10 of the heat of like, it was just like a low point in my career, in the sense of like movies are such bullshit. Like written movies, like these fake stakes, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything that we just talked about, how important
Yeah,
movies are in
yeah, yeah,
storytelling.
yeah.
I was like, no, that's stupid. Like, this is so dumb. Documentaries are the
Documentaries
way to
are.
go. This is a real person. These are real people we're talking about. These were real kids. This is a real country that we live in who did all of this and then like swept it under the rug.
Right.
But then on the other side of that, it's like, yeah, and there are so many people who wake up every day to make sure that like other Canadians know that this happened and like
Right. Right.
know
Right.
our history as a country. So that became like also really hopeful and
Yeah.
impactful
Yeah.
on me. Um, but what it taught me as far as like scripted or scripted and documentary is it always comes back to story. And if someone's going to give your movie like 90 minutes of their attention or 11 minutes of their attention,
Yeah.
like it better be good.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be like I'm a huge believer in like the audience is way smarter than you think.
Right.
There's no way to ever be able to like you can make a movie and think that this is the one way people will take it or the 5 ways people will
Yeah.
interpret it, and there will always be somebody who
Totally.
interprets it completely differently than you. I made a short film called Missy
Okay.
and in like 2016, and I'm super proud of that short. Like that felt like the first one that I was like, okay, I think I have a handle on
Yeah.
like these short films. And it went to a few festivals, and then CBC picked it up and it was on CBC Gem for a while, and so a lot of people saw it, and not a lot of people, as many short film
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
watchers are out there, but someone reached out to me and said that she had a panic attack because she had been just out of an abusive marriage.
Okay.
And I was like, I did not mean to do that. Like, that is not what I thought
Right.
at
Right. Right.
all.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so, like, there's nothing I can say. Like, that was not, I didn't think that's what that movie was about.
Yeah.
It's also one that I go back to. Like, I wrote it, I was going through a breakup.
Okay.
And I watch it now, I'm like, obviously you were going through a breakup. Like, watching this movie, like, you're an idiot.
No
Like, I
way.
didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
see it. It was like, again, like, wrote that with Rob.
Yeah.
And we just kept being like, well, it'd be cool if, it'd be cool if, it'd
Right.
be cool if.
Yeah.
And we have this family cottage that won't be in use in November, so why don't we film it there? And it's like, okay, we have a cottage and we have Rob, an actor. Those are the two things we have.
Right.
And then we like thought of this really cool story, and then yeah, the way people will interpret stuff.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Somebody called you can call me Roger, racist against white people, which I wanted to put on the poster. I
Yeah.
thought that's like amazing, like perfect. But he was like angry about it.
Right.
And so it's just like you can't control the way that people will like see
Yeah.
your stuff, and it's also like you rented it, so
Yeah, and that's I think, in Canada, our kind of racist situation that we're obviously is the context of the Canadian history is the Aboriginal situation, and I think that as time goes by and then things resurface, what also happens is that like the other perspective of maybe that white person or the person that did the damage, when you shed the light on it, it's like because they have this denial, or it's been so long, or things like that, they then think it's a personal attack
Yeah.
on them, and then it
like,
becomes
well, I
like
didn't do that.
exactly
Yeah.
right. And I think it's a poor perspective to take, because I think that these things here, and in a documentary such as yours, and especially a documentary that is made by a non-Aboriginal person, which is really powerful, but also probably like a situation that you put yourself in, is like the stakes are even probably higher
Yeah,
at that point.
that was a pretty big worry.
Yeah.
And then like speaking to Roger and his son about it
Yeah.
made me feel a whole lot better about the situation. And I spoke with a friend of mine who's a filmmaker, and at the time he was having a lot of success for his movie. It's called The Queen of Basketball,
Okay.
and that's about a black woman in the South. And I asked Ben, like, I'm like making a documentary about Roger, and he's Indigenous and he was a chief, and like I am neither of those things. And like how do I do that? And
Yeah.
then he was really helpful about just like, you are just the method in which he's telling his story.
Right.
Like, it
Right.
is
Right.
his story. It also like the day that I had with Roger's sister, where I had like my mini meltdown about movies,
Mm-hmm.
that was a big one about like, this is why people need to see this movie. And then knowing that I wasn't beyond Roger,
Mm-hmm.
of like really caring about, it was an audience of one. If Roger liked it, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was step one for sure. And then realizing that I wasn't making the movie to teach anybody about anything that we weren't already taught in school or not taught in
Right.
school. It was just to present Roger's life, which he deserved
Mm-hmm.
to have that platform.
And the things that happened around him, right?
Yeah. And then I thought about like my experience in public school in Fredericton. It's like, why didn't I learn any of this stuff?
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, I'm making it, this movie's actually for the white kids that I went to high school with who don't know any of this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, if I think it's a great opportunity if I spend 2 years having these hard conversations, which is so silly to say because they were hard conversations with people who actually went through
Right.
the
Right. Right.
thing. And then if I can boil that down to 77 minutes and have ignorant people in my life watch it,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I will do that any day
Right.
of the week.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go through the 2 years of work. It was a great job. And then put it into like, okay, I'm not going to get 2 years out of these people, but if I can get like,
70
hey, there's
minutes.
this documentary entertainment,
Yeah.
and then they watch it and learn something,
Yeah.
it's like that's kind of when it flipped for me to feel a little bit more comfortable about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And also like, truth and reconciliation is like a non-indigenous person's responsibility.
100%.
Like that
Yeah.
is on us
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And like I was always taught, and I continue to think about like reconciliation is such a process.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, oh, we did the Truth Reconciliation report 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Canada can wipe its hands. It is like what you can do. I am a filmmaker, so I made a film about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also not expecting people to put 2 years of their life into it. But yeah, it's just like reconciliation is something that we all need to be a part of.
Yeah.
And then that, it was like a slow, like, oh, okay, I can wrap my head around that. That's good. And then that felt like empowering.
Yeah.
Of kind of putting my money where my mouth was, sort of thing.
And there's an educational component of that reconciliation too, is like you need to bring awareness to something that in respect to your experience going through that, you're like, why didn't I know about this?
Mm.
And for other people to know that, that's a step in the process of doing
Yeah.
that. But like you say, like it's not just like, saying, okay, we've got this day and then we celebrate it and then everything's all good. It's like you, things need to be repaired in a way where bringing awareness to it, okay, wow, I didn't know these things happen. What could we do better? And it's also like, and not to say that it's that there isn't recognition and reparation that has to be done specifically with the Indigenous, but it's like it's also really important to bring awareness of like how evil humans can be
Yeah.
in specific situations that I think a lot of people need to be more and more aware about, and being like, you need to be more compassionate and more empathetic towards the people around you.
Yeah.
Because these things can happen very quickly.
Well, history
And
repeats itself.
yeah, and also it's like, just because you didn't know about it or you turned a blind eye or you weren't the actual person doing it doesn't mean that you don't hold responsibility to it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really important about things like that to be shown is we're all part of this in one way or another, right? So it's good that you've done work like that to
Yeah,
to bring awareness,
it
right?
was like so fun to meet all these people who I otherwise wouldn't have met. And what I learned, and it was like certainly some very like humbling moments. I remember asking someone a question about like when the Europeans arrived, and he like very quickly corrected me to not say talk about arrival and to always call it a invasion. It was an invasion. It
Right.
wasn't anything other than that. And it's like,
Right. Right.
okay,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
right. Yep.
Now, how do you like? I had read through the CBC article that at first Roger was reluctant to even participate in this,
Yeah.
and I mean, like for you going into to doing a documentary like this, like how do you navigate through getting people on board and trusting you to give you this information?
Yeah. So it's a good question. And I don't, again, like, I don't think that there's one way to do it because we're
Fair, yeah,
dealing with
yeah,
personalities.
yeah,
So a lot of people, especially like Roger's friends and family,
hmm
were not hesitant necessarily, but like first time being on camera telling really personal
yeah,
stories versus um, the politicians that we interviewed are really great on camera and
right,
know exactly what they want to say and how to get it across.
yeah,
And that was great too. But with Roger, he always told the story that um, he had been approached to like write a book or do a memoir or whatever, and he's like, "No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that." And then we approached him about making a documentary,
hmm
and like, I think that this is how it could be done, and how important your story is, and this is how we'll do it. And then that all got thrown out the window when they, like, the discovery was made in BC.
hmm
Just went down a very different course. But Roger tells a story about it was his daughter-in-law who said to him like, don't do it for you, like do it for your grandkids. And that he was like, okay,
okay,
I'll do it,
yeah,
like I'm in.
yeah.
um and like so thankful that he was able to tell his story, and like he's a good friend and a good man, and he's a hero.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Now, in doing work like that, um, one question from I guess from my perspective, and I think a lot of people when they will watch something like that, they'll be impacted by it. But when it comes to yourself looking at that or creating that, what conversations do you hope that are going to happen when you put out a piece of work like that?
yeah, like any conversation's important. Like
Yeah.
if you can like start up any sort of a conversation,
hmm
even like with Popsy, you don't get this across in the short film that I made, but in the original book,
hmm
the guy who is convincing him to abduct a child is so that they go on a boat ride to an island. And I was like, well, that's weirdly back in the news. And that was written in
No
1993.
way.
Like, so maybe even from Popsy, it's like start having those
Oh
conversations
my
about
god.
like the list and the island and whatever.
Right.
Um, or like we talked about weapons earlier,
Yeah.
which is clearly about school shootings and
Yeah.
like or gun violence in America. And Sinners does an incredible job. Like that movie thematically is just like about everything. Everything in that movie is like oral, and like even like it's all about passing stories down.
hmm
It's about music and singing and hymns. Even like all the sex in it is oral, which I was like, okay, they're clearly like. And then there was vampires who eat people. Like
Right.
everything was about like oral history in that movie,
Yeah.
and like being able to tell those stories and not forgetting like the history of America with like these vampires who are immigrants. It was just like genius, and
hmm
like start having those kind of conversations.
hmm
But then with Roger, I don't know. I think it's about maybe just like keeping it in front of people's faces, like it's not
Yeah.
going away just
Yeah.
because you read a textbook in high school about the first Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that ain't it, And so
It's
like
much more
just
to it.
keeping it as part of the culture of this country that we're in,
Yeah.
so that we don't ever forget,
hmm
and so that we can build on something that we can all move forward together, because truly it's like a unified Canada is a good thing.
hmm hmm
So
I agree. Now, I always finish with one question with all of our guests, and hopefully you did your homework because a lot of people say, I knew you were going to ask this,
Yeah.
and I didn't even friggin' prepare. Now, if you were to look back in any moment, and maybe it's just this kind of like crossroad moment, or maybe it was the moment that you were about to quit school or
Yeah, yeah.
something like that, with the knowledge that you have now, if you were to see that person again, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would have told myself to just like stick it out at a
Yeah.
kid. Like you'll be
Fair.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen to your mom.
Yeah.
Um, Also, like if something is like constantly speaking to you,
Hmm.
um, like I find it like an idea for a story
Hmm.
that even if you don't sit down to write it or start it or anything, if it's like still in your head a year later, it's like it probably means that you have something
Yeah.
pretty good. Like that's a good filter. And then on like a larger scale of looking back, like I was so obviously going to go into movies. Like I've been
Hmm. Hmm.
obsessed with movies since I was a kid. Movie magic, like the magic of the theater,
Yeah.
like starting out on stages and like seeing behind the scenes of like how sets are built at like being in TNB as an 11-year-old,
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
like taking it all in. Um so I don't know, like as far as advice, it's just like yeah, you got to listen to your gut and
Yeah.
like you like my mom always said like do something you love and the money will follow.
Yeah.
Like it's not you're not going to no one's another early piece of advice I got was like no one's going to pay you to direct anything because you've never directed anything
Yeah.
before. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like just go out and direct something.
Right.
So that's what I did and like it's old news or it's like old and tired and kind of hackish to say, but if you want to make a movie, you should start
Yeah.
making movies. And
Yeah.
like they'll be cheap and you'll have to convince people and pay them with like coffee and pizza for a while.
Yeah.
Um but well, I don't know what the alternative is
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, and I agree. A couple of people have said that in the past as well, and that's one that really sticks with me, and it's something that I think I've learned to process more quickly now is like if there's something within you that like stays there and lingers and it's like a feeling that compels you towards something but you're just not acting on it, it's
Hmm.
probably the thing you should be doing,
Yeah.
right? And I think a lot of the times like we're in and your career and your life story is one that I find is actually one of a more hopeful situation because you had so much support and like
Hmm.
a surrounding that if you were compelled to do movies, what better situation to be in than that?
Yeah, and I think probably like the right amount of ignorance and false confidence for whatever reason.
Those
Like
are good things to have though
yeah, I think
sometimes.
honestly, like as a young entrepreneur or a young artist or whatever, it's like I don't know if I just like turned blinders off for a while, but like looking back, it's like I can't believe I like made a movie, a short film, and then put it out.
Yeah.
Like at that age, like who was I? Like who did I think I was?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I always like but I wanted to be different in some way. Like in Fredericton now, there's a good like bustling like film scene coming out of Freddie, and like I have a lot of friends from Fredericton who are having like really successful careers, but that wasn't around when I was a kid,
Yeah.
so it did feel different
Yeah.
coming out of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I asked my mom like, she's asked me that question before, like, would you do anything different?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think so, because like this is good. Like things are pretty good.
Yeah.
It comes back to the like running the 100 meter. It's
Yeah.
like how do you know you did training right until you see the result? And my mom has told me like she wish looking back that I had taken a year off of high school and university to like figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I think what she's told me and what she means by that is that she thinks that would have fast tracked me into film school
Yeah.
sooner.
Yeah.
But also, when I was in film school, I was in school with a lot of people who didn't have an undergrad
Right.
So they didn't have
Right.
anything to write about. Like
Right.
there was no life. Not that I had a ton of life experience, but I
Yeah.
had studied something completely different,
Yeah.
had different outlooks on the way the world works and
Yeah.
my limited understanding. But
Yeah.
at least there was,
And you wrote, like, I mean,
yeah,
I've done political science too, and it's like everything you get graded on is
it's
just writing,
essays. It's
right?
all essays,
Yeah.
and that it did teach me. Like I took a course called, oh god, political argument,
Okay. Yeah.
and it was just like how to argue, how to make
Yeah.
arguments, like explain different types of arguing styles, like, and how to make an argumentative essay, which like
Hmm.
everybody knows the basics. Everybody can write an argumentative
Yeah.
essay, but it was like, no, the science behind, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always find it funny that it's called political science because it's not a science.
Right.
But like at
Yeah.
the end of the day,
Soft science.
yeah,
Yeah.
politics is numbers.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you get more numbers than this person, you win.
Yeah.
So, it was
Very
like
simplistic
this,
way of doing
yeah,
it, but
it's
true.
like the science. Yeah, politics is just math, but
Yeah.
like the science of how to create an argument and then taking that and being like, well, I can apply that to dialogue.
Right.
Like
Right.
you can
Right.
apply that to the 3-act Hollywood structure that I learned at the New York Film Academy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is honestly so basic.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like formatting of like a 3-act movie or a 5-act movie.
Yeah.
It'll drive you crazy because after that, every movie you see,
Yeah. You're
is a
watching. It's like,
format.
oh,
It's
here it
like
is.
you
Yeah.
can pause it and know exactly we're 54 minutes into this movie right now. So like no gatekeeping about that at all. If
Yeah.
you want to learn how to write, just buy the book Save the Cat, and
Okay.
you will. It's personal film school.
Okay. I think we pretty much I think we kind of circled around and made it all make sense.
Right
It
on.
was kind of like trying to figure out what best advice we could give ourselves, and I think you put it right on the button there.
Yeah,
So,
listen to yourself.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, and like I say that it's a very simple, and not to minimize it, because like I said earlier, you gotta know when to ask for help.
Yeah.
You can't do it on your own. There are people who
100%.
have, whatever you choose to do, people have done it before you. Like
Yeah.
you're not a special little butterfly.
No,
Like you
not at
just
all.
go out
Yeah.
and find people who did it. Be the dumbest person in the room as much as you can be.
100%.
And I think that that goes for not only like entrepreneurship, but any job in any industry. And
Yeah.
I heard something great. It's like in the early days of your career, all you have to do is the easy things. And
Yeah.
it's like wake up,
Yeah.
shower, show up on time,
Listen.
maybe ask a question
Yeah.
once a week in a boardroom
Yeah.
meeting. Like do the easy things
Yeah.
well.
And you'll be a sponge for
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a big one. That's a good one. I guess it's like different stages. I'm sure that there are things that I wish I could have told myself,
Hmm.
but then I wouldn't have learned it for myself.
That's
and then
true.
that becomes a bit of a superpower.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was an absolute pleasure to have this conversation. I'm sure we could have stretched it for
Yeah.
another even 2, 3, 4 hours. Um, for anyone, how can anyone watch Popsy right now?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, that's what we're trying to figure out
Yeah, okay.
is like how to get this thing to be public.
Yeah.
Right now, like I mentioned, there's King Kong going on in Atlantic City. It's playing there.
Yeah.
But I know that not everybody lives near Atlantic City. So, I don't know. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
I guess. Like
Yeah.
we're all trying to figure that out, but nobody. It's like all the respect that we have. Nobody wants to do anything. To,
Yeah.
like bite the hand that fed us.
We'll have all your links in the description. We'll be tagging you on social media and
Great.
everything. So I would say stay tuned on your socials
Yeah.
to figure that out, because I had the pleasure to watch it. It is so well done for how short it is,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of people will be able to see your skill and how much effort you've put into this and really appreciate it. And anything else that they'll be able to pick off of, we'll be tagging you in it. So
Sweet.
they'll
Awesome.
get to learn everything else that we weren't able to talk about.
Yeah.
So
As soon
thanks
as I
again, my
know, you'll
man.
know. Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Thank you.